And now it is time to continue with our next talk, which is by Marvin from Phala Network on Web3 computation for Metaverse.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Nice to see you. So, it's really excited for me to stand here and give some talk. And I really appreciate that you guys can come in person because I know it's afternoon and there's so many side events here. So thank you for all being here, and the guys who been here are really DOT Summer community supporters. And today I'm gonna share a little bit about my insight about Metaverse and what can we do, what can DOT Summer community do to Metaverse, okay? So, yeah, I mean, Metaverse. Everybody is talking about Metaverse, but from Miami to Europe, when I have conversations with the technical guys, the community guys, the founders about Metaverse, I see different people have huge different opinion about what it is, and I think for most of the general people, from Mark Zuckerberg to the influencers, when we bring into Metaverse, most of people just come up with these three concepts. The first one is VR. I mean, VR is good. VR is definitely the environment how to bring people, a new excellent experience in a new digital space. So that's why Metaverse will be becoming really popular in the near future, and VR is one of the technical supporting. But this is the first how general people think about the Metaverse VR. The second idea is MMO. MMO is actually a letter of massive number of multiplayer online. So when we are speaking to the games Minecraft or World of Warcraft, then they are the MMO game. So without MMO ability, you can't call it Metaverse. So that's also some general people bring up into. The second concept is also many people share with me. It's I can do a lot of things in Metaverse. I can freely explore in the verse, and I can climb any mountain I see, and I can I get into buildings I see. So that is called open world in games, not Metaverse. So for example, in the games, in the AAA level games like Zelda, or the Elden Ring, right? So these AAA games, what they are building is open world. It means a big map full of explorer, full of NPCs and bosses you can have fun with. So that is an open world. And I don't think actually these are Metaverse. So that's the key. So for my personal opinion, I think the only difference from Metaverse, the only difference from Metaverse from, for example, the MMO game or Minecraft or open world game is only about data ownership and assets and ownership. And I think only based on that, we can get a Metaverse. Without that, we can't call it Metaverse. So why? I think if we use the infrastructure breaking down the guys do it, to the Web3 technology, we can break the Metaverse, the future Metaverse, into 3 layers. The very fundamental layer is the layers can help you to own your own data and own your digital assets forever. This is the very layer 0. And then on top of it is an open network and platform to enable anybody can contribute the content, create content inside this Metaverse. And on top of that, that's the fun part. That's where general user can approach with, they can play with it. So that's sometimes we call it mini games in Metaverse. It means different spaces, different game modes built inside the Metaverse. That's where the fun coming from. So the reason I think about why data ownership and asset ownership is so important is because only with that, it means all of our time investment and our real money investment, what we build, what we create, and what we spend our time in the digital world can become a legacy and constantly pass by into the next generation, or convert into some other type of assets in the future. So so I clearly I'm a narrow-minded person. I have very strictly opinion about what metaverse is. So the next thing is when some projects pitching you and bullish you hey, we have a VR world and we are really brilliant. So how do we define? Is it metaverse or not? For example, for meta.io, is it metaverse or not? How do we define that? I have 4 principles. You can remark that, take a shot on that. I think it's useful. And the first one is who built the content inside this verse. So this is the first important part, right? So for example, even though Zelda or Elden Ring have a very big map to explore, sometimes it even could be endless exploring, but it's not metaverse because all of the content inside that is built by the game studio instead of the people, the community. So this is the first principle. I think metaverse should be, all of the content inside metaverse should be built by community and be open to anybody to build. I mean, of course, not everybody, but the guys who have the ability to set up 3D modules, they can put their shit inside. So that's what I think the first principle should be. The second one is who control the services. So for example, Minecraft, right, it's great, and anybody can create contents, creations, 3D modules inside Minecraft. So is it Minecraft the metaverse? I don't think so. Why? Because Minecraft, all of the services, all of the game programs are running by the company instead of the community itself. So who controls the services is the second principle. The third one is could this service be shutting down? This is a little bit tricky here. I'm gonna put another sample. For example, Sandbox. The difference from Roblox, Minecraft, and Sandbox is Sandbox, apparently it have a governance token, and everything should go through the governed by public. So it fits the top 2 principle, right? Content built by community and services controlled by the public. But the problem is, for now, I think if, so for example, Animoca or Sandbox want to shut down some service, they can. So that's the second point, right? True metaverse should be never shutting down. This is really important, guys, because if you remember, like in the last page, I think data ownership and asset ownership is so important. So if you can shut down service, then all of this ownership goes away. So the final principle, I would say, is 100% open source. But sadly, for the current metaverse, I can barely see 100% open source projects because the competition just started. Everybody wants to gain some marketing leadership. So, for example, when our team go through the research about different metaverses, we found they barely, have a 100% open source metaverse. Most of them are hiding some part of the code in a client or in somewhere. So, yeah, just remember 4 principles to remark who is the true metaverse. Okay. So, is it the principle solid enough to identify the metaverse? Is it being tested? I think so. I use the same principles to define between DeFi and CEX, sex, yeah. Yeah, so if you use the same principle to review all of these two major business modules, you'll find 8 steps. For example, who control the ownership, right? Who control the asset? In DeFi, it's me, right? My private key, that's it. But in CEX, it's the exchanges. Their admins, their company actually control the assets for me. And who control the services? For DeFi, it's a DAO, right? It should be DAO. I mean, Uniswap is a very unique case, but rather than that, I think all of the DeFi projects in DOT Summer community is already be controlled by the governance module, right? But the services for CEX is controlled by the exchanges. That's why we see exchanges shutting down every day, and once they are after being hacked. But if the DeFi being hacked, they have to oh, we are rug pulled, but if you want, we can keep the service, something like that. Because smart contract, this is something you can never shutting down. Yeah, the second principle, could services be shutting down? Yeah, I just mentioned that you can't shutting down DeFi. And the fourth part is it open source? Of course, you will never use a DeFi which is not open source, because without open source you can't verify. You can't verify, you don't know where your money goes. So if you use the same principle to compare with DeFi and CEX, you find it also stands. So the same principle should work on Metaverse as well. And why is it important? I remember in some, before some days in Paris, there's a panel, and one dude told me, okay, it is not that important to make everything decentralized, to make everything Web3. Okay, we can just keep the assets running by smart contract, that's okay. And the right part of it, who cares if you use centralized service? Nobody cares, but I disagree. My opinion is we are using DeFi because we are putting our real money, our real assets from the bank, from the accounts that be controlled by anyone else, into the account that only be controlled by me. And we know the logic, the code running on DeFi is being open source, it's verified, it's sustainable, it's never shutting down. So we love DeFi. Once you use DeFi, you never want to use bank again. So. And it's an assets financial investment. But for Metaverse, I think it is a time investment. Guys, this is very important. I think the reason why we should, the reason why I think Metaverse should be 100% supported by Web3 is because it means our lifetime is investing in this space. So. For example, TikTok. Before TikTok, no one will think okay, I will live in some digital applications. I will spend 5 hours per day, and I will spend 5 hours per day to enjoy it, and I will also spend 3 hours per day to create my own content in some application. You will never come up with that. But after TikTok, everybody on the subway is right. They never heads up. They always are on it. It's so addictive. The same situation will happen on Metaverse as well. After it's been good to go, good user experience, easy to get addition, I believe most of people will spend their lifetime in it. It's not only for entertainment or content assumption, but also for work, for communication. So you are spending your time, you are investing your time in some digital world, and this is very important because if you are investing your time in some Web2 services, it means all of the investment can go away. So that's exactly the same reason why I prefer DeFi than CEX. I love to use DeFi. So based on the same reason, you should use the true Metaverse instead of the VR world. So the problem is how to build a Web3 Metaverse. So this is come into the real topic today. It's really hard. We need to research, and it is really hard. So this is the, after the research by our team, we found we are more respected, to decentralized, because they are really trying their best to organize their infrastructure and technical architecture into more decentralized way. But sadly, it's a so big, so huge, and complicated system. The Web3 part is really tiny. It's only in the web end with the Ethereum provider. It's actually the graph indexers. But rest of the part, yeah, sorry guys, I confused you a little bit. I will summarize it a little bit, okay? So in decentralized, if you want to build a metaverse, it's majorly built by 3 parts of modules. The first part of module is called Catalyst. So Catalyst is basically some it's more edge networking game servers. So the job for Catalyst is to gathering the players around in real time so that people can have face-to-face meetings in some same spot in real time, and we can connect with each other. So this is what we call game servers in MMO infra. And the second module in here is called kernels. So the kernel means basically all of the back end, package them together and hosting on centralized servers for different reasons, as you can see. For example, the queue management, the voice module, the scene, the landing rendering, and all of the database and the game rule engines. So this is a huge package of backend. It's called kernel. The second module is actually the local end. It's a local client. Some metaverse are web app, like Decentraland, and some provide like a Mac version of Windows client, like Sandbox. So basically, that's the infra for metaverse. And for now, the Web3 part is only related with asset management, as I mentioned in the first page. When you want to use your NFT, no matter for land, for avatars, PFP NFTs, or you want to create some NFTs by playing games, only this part of the rules are written by smart contract. So I'm not being criticized about decentralized. These guys already try their best to open everything and try their best to as much as possible for Web3 services. But sadly, the reality is basically just a centralized service, and we can barely do anything about it. I have a theory why this happened. The theory is there is a certain pattern in decentralized application building, which is if your UX complexity, sorry, if your UX complexity is too big or it's too complex, then the lower Web3 rate your application will get. So this pattern is because I will explain a little bit later. But yeah, this is the pattern. Let me put some examples. So for example, if you just want to transfer from A to B, it's pretty easy, right? You don't need even smart contract to do it. You just use a wallet to do it, A, B, target address, and how many tokens I want to send, that's it. Signature, you just need to make calls for RPC, API, that's it. So the Web3 rate will be around 95%. Then we began to use Uniswap, the DeFi protocols, and yeah, for DeFi, almost all of the back end are written by smart contract. We can do that. The business modules, the business logic, we can write it by smart contract. But we need interface to interact with the chain. So we need RPC, we need API, we need front end to host them all, right? So this is when the decentralized applications began to use a little bit Web2 services. And so I would say for most of the DeFi projects, the Web3 ratio will be around like 80%, okay, 20% for front end and APIs. That's it. In Fura, that's it. And then we come into games, all of the game files. So if you look deep into the game file, the game engines and the front end, you will find the Web3 ratio is quite low. Okay, it's around 30%, I would say, because only the game logic when it's related with very basic rules. For example, it's very important. For example, if I interact with some smart contract, and if I certainly gain some achievement, then I can mint one NFT out. This is a very general use case in GameFi. And this part, we can write it by smart contract. But if it's a PvP game, okay, I can randomly match with some player, and when we match, I need to fight him. And if I have this, and this NFTs, I have higher ratio to win. But finally, it's a random. We have to also use some skills to define who is the winner. And after the winner comes out, I can win another NFT. So all of the stuff I just mentioned can't be written by smart contract because it's multiplayer and it's in real time and it needs a lot of API integration. So you can't write it by smart contract. You have to write it by centralized service as a backend, and that's it. So that's why GameFi's Web3 ratio is quite low. I would say 30%. And then finally we come into Metaverse. All of the real-time stuff, all of the MMO stuff I just mentioned, come into a higher rate. So I would say for the current Metaverse, the Web3 rate will be around 5%. So yeah, that's it. That's my theory about the US complexity and the, oh, sorry, I'm really a little bit over time. And yeah, the reason is here. All of the things, back-end stuff in the middleware, like API management, description, attestation from off-chain to on-chain, game engine, event management, indexers link up with the graph, subscore, subquery, and the back-end attestation to the social account. All of this stuff, you can't write it by smart contract. So that is my theory. So does 5% Web3 ratio work? I don't think so. If you compare it with the DeFi case, you will find, okay, exchanges, when they deposit and withdraw, they are using Web3, right? They have to withdraw and deposit on-chain, but the rest of the whole part, the 95% of the exchanges part is Web2. You don't want to use that. So what Phala is here, I'm going to sell a little bit, okay? So why we are here is because we are providing, we want to provide a Web3 computation environment. It's actually a cloud. So the purpose of this cloud is we can let all of these decentralized application builders, developers for GameFi, DeFi, and Metaverses, they can forget about AWS for their backend, and they can put their backend code inside our decentralized cloud. And once we host it, the Web3 ratio for the whole application can rise up. So we can get a fully Web3 application. The reason why the production we are building and the way you can use Phala, we call it a fat contract. You can see how the inspiration of the fat contract idea coming from. So it means a little bit richy, fatty, right? It's we are not competing with smart contract. If you found your business logic, you can write it by smart contract. Just do it, okay? Don't use fat contract. But if you find trouble, oh, I have to use AWS anyway, just try a little bit for fat contract, okay? We provide a low latency and high performance environment, and you can basically write your backend. If you are writing it in WebAssembly or Rust, you can deploy it on our network. We will execution the whole program in off-chain inside the TEE environment. It's confidential, it's safe, it's very fast, and low latency. So you can basically treat Phala like a Web3 and decentralized cloud, and you can forget about AWS. That's our purpose. And yeah, so in general, in application building, if you come into a crazy user growth, like 1 million users in a day, you have to add up like 1,000 servers in real time, to support that balance of volume. And on blockchain, you can't do that, right? But on Phala, you can do that because our networking is really scaling. It can be increasing based on the market demand, and we have very low latency because you can have your freedom to use it. For example, you can host a game server. I will present a case later. So why is this network decentralized? Why is it better than the AWS? Because all of the servers running on Phala Cloud is provided by P2P network. It's created and hosted, provided by people. I don't buy any server for it. All of the servers are presented by miners. Miners get Phala token as reward, but developers can freely using these servers, our network. That's the module. In this module, you can think like it's more like a Uber for cloud. So yeah, I'm gonna yeah. So, and we are already successful running on Kusama and Polkadot parachain. No worries for the security. It's stable. We have 2 years period. And yeah, secret news to share here is we just won another year for Kusama slot auction just a couple of days before in secretly bidding using our team funds. So yeah, so we got security guaranteed. And one more thing is, I might like just talking big here, okay? Or not, we are not, okay? We already have like 3 major type of use cases. The first cases is decentralized metaverse client, and we already running it in some test Phala server. It's already launched. It can run very well. We can put the metaverse in Phala game servers, and it works well. Yeah. And the second one is rendering. We found ourselves we can actually do more, for the batch of rendering business. So that's why we also cooperation with Blender, which is the only open source standard for 3D modules, and we can successfully batch rendering the 3D modules. We think the cloud game haven't come into its age, but it will in 3 years or 4 years. What is cloud game? It means all of the rendering business, most of the rendering business are not happening in local in your Xbox or PS5, but all of the rendering business happening in cloud. And based on this perspective, we are also like presenting something can be used by artists to run their NFTs on Phala Network. The third thing is attestation for metaverse. So we found that if you want to build an interesting system, you have to attestation from Twitter, Discord, forum to verify people's identity or calculate his reputation scores on chain. And it's majorly goes through by DID like Qt network or latency, but the attestation part is something we can also provide. So we are working with some DID protocol for metaverse or NFT attestation. You can write a description and deploy it on Fed contract. We can help you to execution it so that you can verify the information outside of blockchain. And all of these use cases, we are building it through one project to prove it can work. And this project is called Phala World. So Phala World will be like a testing sample to prove Phala Network can actually provide multi and flexible services to Metaverse. So this is just follow the Twitter, and we are about to launch the the system in this month. Looking forward on it, and we are co-working with many talents in Sama community on that. Thank you. And finally, we got like a hackathon quest. Just welcome to join. And it's really easy to get the rewards. And if you are, like you're already in the hype. So yeah, just do it, scan it, and it's really interesting. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time, and see you later.